Welcome back to another continuation of a program that we had done earlier. It was aired yesterday, and that was with John Drysdale as well as Mary Carlin. John had some things he had to take care of, so we're here with another program, a continuation with Mary Carlin. So good, Mary. Welcome back to this other program. We're going to talk about the human condition in large system terms. So welcome back.
Thank you once again.
We'll catch up with John later and everything.
It's a real pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's good seeing you, sir. So good. We're trying to discuss. You've both been involved with this fellow John McConnell, who is. I'm going to be. I think tomorrow, from when we air this program, I'm going to air an hour-long program I did with John McConnell way back in the dark ages of television. It was way back and a long time ago.
It was 86.
Was that when it was? That's pretty far back, in terms of the fact that the television's only been here for relatively recent and everything. But I was very impressed with him, and I think the people that are seers and people that are like Margaret Mead and particularly my hero Buckminster Fuller. I'm also interested in economics, economic theorizing, and that sort of thing. Maybe we can get to some of that as we consider the human condition in this. This is this is December 12th, and the year of the Christian era of 2017 that we're talking with this program. We're going to pick up where we were yesterday. And so welcome back, Mary.
Okay, then today's the 13th. Then.
Oh, the 13th. Yeah, well, it's being aired, but being taped, yeah. Anyway, so we're both talking about John McConnell, and we did mention 1970 as a major transition point in terms of the development of human society. And then we're trying to understand where in the world and what in the world is going on. Things are happening so fast now. Do you get a sense of the quickness with which the changes are coming down now? And it seems to be there's an acceleration of acceleration in terms of the speed with which monumental changes happen. We used to have a few decades to get used to some major transformation, like agriculture or something like that. But now it seems to be and the rate of the speed of the development of change, monumental change, is getting up faster and faster to almost a break point or a point of qualitative transformation, just not quantitative. But anyway, just that kind of a thought about the times in which we live.
Well, it does seem to me that things do go faster. And,
yeah.
But on the other hand, our concerns are still the same. Or do you have a place to live? Do you have food? Do you have?
Yeah, it's on an individual basis. Yeah,
sure.
And that's across the world too.
Yeah.
In varying degrees, some people are living in absolute dire poverty, and so it's a crime. Yeah.
Well, and also just what you just mentioned, like food and stuff production. I really do think that we're going to have to go back to the way our grandparents farmed, where instead of relying on big corporations who now control the seeds, who control like putting so many pesticides. Who thought of that?
Seeds,
why are we doing that?
It's an economic model, I think, for
money,
increasing profit.
Once again, money.
Yeah.
But if it is
but hasn't it always been? If it wasn't money, it
we
was
are now doing
gold
genetic modification, which is to me is like a whole nother level. It's like the genie is out of the bottle.
Okay, I want to talk some about that. Yeah.
When you look at right now with Monsanto, they have been
Terminator
charged.
Seeds, yeah.
Yes, they have been now charged at the International Criminal Court and found guilty, and they should not be doing what they are doing. And with the more consolidation where one or two companies now control the seeds, and we're going to have to buy seeds to plant them, and we can only use their pesticides. When you have, and they now know that this glyphosate, if I'm pronouncing that right.
That's a mouthful, but glyphosate, I haven't heard that. But
yeah, that is what's in
Take
Roundup.
your word for it, yeah.
They know it's cancer causing.
Roundup is a thing they're marketing, yeah?
Yes, and even what disturbs me is I see them marketing it like for people in their gardens. Spray this on your plants if you have a dandelion. Whatever happened to weeding and digging out that dandelion? And why do we need a perfect green lawn? That is not sustainable.
To have a better lawn than the people next door.
Yeah, but why is that? Why don't we have wildflowers and food gardens?
Because
California
wildflowers
is doing
don't look
that.
as neat.
But they are beautiful, and they let the bees come and the butterflies.
They're going to sting you, those
And they
bees.
will help with our biodiversity.
Yes, right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a different take on things. A lot of those things have to do, well, we do want to have a thing where there is, I guess we want to have a thing where there can be effective competition between people so that you're not dependent upon only one company to supply the whole of something, but there can be competition as a market discipline to have competition to benefit the consumer. Do we want? We don't want to have a what do you call it? A monopoly situation.
Well, we are getting a monopoly, though. That is what's
so?
happening. Oh, absolutely. You know, with Ciba Geigy and Bayer. I mean, these
I've
companies
not
just
followed
get
it real careful.
Oh, this is
Bayer
like
is a drug company.
Thank
isn't
you.
It? Yeah.
And so we want the drug companies handling the food
Well,
and the pesticides, and meanwhile our health issues, the autism, cancers, Alzheimer, all these things seem
How
to be
do we
increasing.
want to have this system? What are we talking about? Different things. You're talking about if you're talking about competition about the sale of boots or shoes or something mundane or something something like that. But what about then you get into medicine or you get into things that really affect the environment in a negative way and all of that. Where should the regulatory aspect of society dwell? In a government that will marshal opposition to marketing principles that are trying to be advanced by one group to have an advantage over another. It's called competition, and they want to keep things competitive rather than allowing a company to become the overwhelming producer of something with great efficiency that they can do only in large scale, or some of these arguments that are argued by market fundamentalists.
Well, you know,
who tend to be very successful people.
Remember how the Green Revolution was going to be like the big change?
I remember.
Yeah, and it turns out it wasn't actually that
who was
great.
That was
Norman Borlaug, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
did a program with Norman Borlaug way the hell back. Yeah, it was a major thing. Yeah.
But
Thank you for reminding me of that.
But they're finding out that in fact let's just look at how many apple seeds. Different varieties of apple. Now we're down to like 6 kinds of apples. There used to be 1,000 apples. Yes. Go to any grocery store and you'll see Red Delicious, Gala, Macintosh, Yellow.
Is that by market principle? The people are selecting those, so then that's the ones that get. They're better, so they get a better sale.
No, I think
so. You know what I'm saying? That the best will be bought by the people, and the market decision can be made by individual citizens who can select what they want, and what they've selected are those 6. More than the other ones. You don't think that?
No, I think it's more controlled than that. Well, okay, go to a grocery store. If an apple has a blemish, people don't want it. Now, why is that?
Because it doesn't look pretty.
Okay, but you can't eat a cardboard
But if the one
tomato.
if the one right next to it doesn't have a blemish, you're going to take the one without the blemish.
No, not necessarily. If you're eating good organic food, then your health will be better.
It might be covered with worms and things.
That's right, but there would be some extra protein, wouldn't it?
Well, that is true, I guess. I hadn't thought. But
the UN has said what's going to save us is organic farming. Now, we need to feed all of us.
You mean, are you against fertilizers and things?
No, but Harold, right now, our whole agriculture is now based on petrochemicals. The big tractors, the pesticides, the transportation, then we're sending food 1,000 miles to be eaten. We need to come back to local food production.
There must be people who are realizing...
Rooftop gardens.
Well,
yes.
Okay, but that's a whole other thing other than...
Community-sustained agriculture. This is what's up and coming, and look at the seed savers. People who save the original, they're called heirloom seeds.
Yeah.
They were already adapted for cold weather or for drought intolerance. Instead, we're now modifying with splicing genes, and it's like.
Well, don't you make some progress that way? You get a better product.
What is your definition of progress? Is it a better
product?
That
is it. That's something we can really talk about. No, you don't think?
Well, look at the seed. Look at what they did with tomatoes. They were flavor savers. Turns out they don't taste good. They made them so that they would look good on a shelf and they would be transported and not get bruised. But they don't taste like a real tomato. I have
then
friends
somebody
who,
should come along and grow real tomatoes. And
Thank
if
you.
the
And
market
they're
can
called
function
heirloom.
without a lot of intervening editorial comment by government people who don't understand the profit motive of a business, if you get a better tomato that tastes better, then it will sell in the market and people will go for it because it tastes better.
Okay, but
let a competition reign.
why is it that organic food costs more? I mean, that's people's biggest thing. They only have so much money. They're going to have to, they decide. I mean,
organic food. What is organic food?
Means without pesticides. Means grown the way I said, like our grandparents grew
Well, they
things.
probably have a
More
lot of
labor
worms and
intensive.
stuff in them because the pesticides kill the worms.
Well, there's also a thing called companion planting,
I don't
where
know what
you
that
have
means.
marigolds.
I'm not much of a farmer, I
well,
tell
it's
you that.
flowers,
Yeah.
marigolds that will repel some of the pests that go onto your tomatoes.
Uh-huh.
And meanwhile, look at what's happening with our bees. Now,
Bees are very, very
pollinate,
important. Absolutely.
so much of our food,
Absolutely.
and yet with the pesticides, we know that bees are dying off, and that what are we
I've
going to
heard
do
that,
if what are we going to do if we don't
Where
have
is it all headed?
bees?
What's it all headed? If this is a across-the-board indictment of the system, then that's a serious thing.
Well, again, I
And
hate to bring
you're
up
making
the,
that kind
the
of a claim.
profit motive, but
the profit motive has
and-
always been there, yeah.
but again, when it's so much involved with petrochemicals,
Well, the petrochemicals have come in with the progress of the chemical industry.
well, and is that such a good thing?
I
is
don't
my
know.
question.
Well, that's the question. What about mankind's intervening in the process by improving things?
Okay,
Don't
but
you
are
think
there other
some-
things that might be happening? Look at what happened with Roundup when they first did it with soybeans and cotton. Now they want to in potatoes.
I don't.
Meanwhile,
To fill me in, what's Roundup?
okay.
I don't even know. Is that a fertilizer or
no,
something? Or
it
what?
is a. This is what is called the Terminator seeds.
Oh, what's that?
The
What is it?
plant
Yeah.
is genetically modified so that it can grow through the pesticides.
Grow through them. What do you mean?
Means that each individual cell of that plant has that pesticide in it, and it'll kill insects. But meanwhile, what's happening is that when this stuff blows to the next farmer's field, then his plants are contaminated, and you can no longer say that they are organic.
I missed something somewhere. I don't understand. What's organic mean?
Grown without GMOs.
Well, what are you saying? Chemistry is bad, or,
No.
or chemical progress, or new fertilizers? I think
One of the
fertilizers can be a
things-
great benefit.
Yeah, but one of the things that's happening is this: as we get bigger equipment, that is ruining the soil. With organic, you have earthworms, you have mulch, you have things that restore the soil and the living organisms in the
What
soil.
I'm trying to get at is it evil? Something by human beings can't do anything right, or there's no progress ever? There's some people who think maybe we're making some progress. You know, I mean, you get. I like the idea of a combine. You mean you can just go through a whole field? You don't even have anybody driving it. It'll just take itself. Clear the whole field,
Well-
thresh it, and you got a whole bunch of grain to feed a bunch of people. And I think it's progress. I don't see mankind's intervention I see it as a net benefit, the importance of the new technologies and the capabilities, not a deficit to something that nature would. I don't trust nature.
Okay, well,
Okay.
I will
trust
put my
nature.
faith in nature.
All right.
There's-
There's a major disagreement. See?
Okay.
I don't trust nature.
There's a thing called the precautionary principle. Are you aware of that?
No, but I think I should be, don't you?
Okay,
I
it's-
think you're probably going to let me know why I should be considering that seriously.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
It's that if we're going to make decisions on a basis of
Market.
collectively what's good for us,
Yeah,
shouldn't
right.
we be err on the side of precaution?
Or what's the opposite?
Full speed ahead.
Well, all right.
With any new technology and whoever's the next one on the market.
Well, wait a minute.
to-
You qualified these two things, if I may.
All
Full
right.
speed ahead.
I'll give you an example.
Thoughtful, full speed ahead. How about
Precautionary
thoughtful,
principle.
full speed, world research, understanding science, speed ahead with it's called progress.
Progress is good, but I'll give you an example
History-
with cell phones. In
Oh,
Europe,
there. We're going to get to that with a little clip that we're going to play
okay,
a little bit
in
later.
Europe,
in this
the precautionary
soliloquy.
principle says children whose brains are still developing shouldn't be holding a cell phone close to their ear, and they're not allowed, their children are not allowed to use them. In our country, I've seen little kids in prams with them, but we want to be precautionary.
Who said they can't use them?
It's the European Union.
European Union.
Yeah,
the European Union, that's a serious body.
But they're just saying we would rather err on the side of caution and let our children develop normally instead
And what happens when they discover that that was some sort of a rumor by somebody who was off base on some sort of a thing, not correct, and bad information, and based upon values that are not really relevant to the need to have good progress made by good human thinking to improve things rather than just worrying about Mother Nature.
Okay, do you want to look at the rates of cancer, autism, health?
Well, I think
these
my daddy was a lawyer, right?
Okay.
And he was born in 1899.
Wow.
Okay, 1899. It was the turn of the century, right? And he died from a heart attack, which is the major thing, you die from. He died at the age of 48. And I looked it up, and 48 was the average age for a male to die in the United States of America in 1899. It's now 78. That's 30 years of growth, 30 years, and that's thankful to streptokinase and to science and to learning and antibacteria and all kinds of scientific thinking of improving the human condition and giving 30 more years of life to somebody that should be let to die at 38 or 48 rather than live a full life with the help of human discovered ways of improving health. Why are we so down on the possibility maybe of some progress being made?
Okay, are you aware that the sperm rate is dropping? It is now 1/4 of what it was for our grandparents. More and more people, 1 out of 4 couples cannot get pregnant now. And
that's a new one to me. It seems to me it's going on all over the world,
but
like
part
it
of
has
this
been
is
for
the
many
onslaught of how many chemicals we're exposed to, what's in our air. I mean, the chemtrails, who knows what is being done without our knowledge or our awareness or our approval.
Yeah.
I mean, that I'm aware of. And
you don't believe in the idea of progress?
I just think it's not the right kind of progress.
What would be progress? Oh, let's talk about that. What are some of the goals that are worthy of I personally like technology. I'm a technophobe, not phobe.
No.
I'm in support of technology. I go whole hog.
Can you program your own iPhone? Because I cannot.
Well,
you need a 12-year-old these days.
That's true. There's many very sage people down through all of history who said the children will teach us. The children learn quickly. You can learn from them. Yeah. I think you can learn from the kids and everything, and we can learn from them. And what they should be doing, there should be a competition to make it easy, and there should be market competition for cell phone A to be more easy to use than cell phone B, because cell phone A will sell more to that market. There's a market niche that you can sell to the old guys and gals and everything, and they will take advantage of it if they will let them take advantage rather than trying to put a regulation down on them because of some sort of an idea that isn't really relevant to advancing the human condition.
Well,
maybe.
I just want to step back a little bit.
Okay, good.
Let's go back to food production.
All right.
How is it that our own government, that the people who are the lobbyists for the big business, and it's called agribusiness. It's no longer called
That's
agriculture.
Because it is a business. It's a business.
But I think we're heading in the wrong direction with
Why?
that thing. Well, first of all, we have people who write the laws.
Those are called politicians.
Okay, but then it's the lobbyist for the same oil and pesticide companies who then enforce the laws.
Those are the lobbyists that are part of the overall political system.
Okay,
it's a political system you're talking about.
My point is this. We don't have the right people in right now.
Well, how? They've been voted in by people. You have elections, don't you? We have elections here.
Well, we do know that
we invented for a new president. We got a new president.
He never won the popular vote.
Well, that doesn't matter. He won according to the rules, and
we should change the rules.
Well, now wait a minute. Now you're going.
We're going to have to go back to the electoral college.
But is it a universal condemnation of human beings? Is that what you're trying to do?
No.
And that there's nothing but disaster in everything we do at any advancement or something.
The book that
and
I
we
was
should all
mentioning,
retreat and live in nature or something.
Her book,
I don't
Rebecca
trust
Costa,
nature. I don't trust nature.
It's called The Watchman's Rattle.
Oh,
Now, do you know
okay.
what a watchman's rattle was for?
I have no idea.
That was
I've never
a
heard
warning.
of it.
A warning. And so she is just saying, can we think our way out of the crisis, the multiple crises that we are now facing?
Now
and the
there you're
complexity?
talking. There you're talking. That I'm like, that's you can get to systems thinking about it rather than superstition argument over ideas that aren't really relevant to what or understanding what's going on, which happens all the time, both by the right and the left.
And her point is that we are now, the complexities are, people are just falling back on belief systems. That
well, they got this thing called God. A whole lot of people are all spent out on this guy, God or something. Or he's Mohammed. He's not a God.
My God's better than your God.
All of that, yeah.
I'm the chosen
and all
one.
of that kind of stuff. And wars and killing has been going on all throughout human history by those kind of things. I think it's a good thing to say goodbye to all of that. And to get down and understanding what's going on.
And wouldn't that be teach science instead of
yes, I'm all for science.
The Bible?
I'm all for science. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I don't know, but you're talking about some of the ills of what do you call it? Concentration of power and ability to monitor control the market system, anything, agriculture, automobiles, cell phones, or whatever. But you want to have some competition to allow for the market can get one thing better than another. You want to have competition.
Well, look at the Bucky Fuller Institute.
God bless Bucky Fuller.
Thank
God,
you.
He was somebody who really thought.
And every year.
And he was like John McConnell, seeing the importance of 1970.
Okay, every year they have a competition for like the best new ideas.
I know.
And they
That's
select.
John McConville and all those.
They select
Thompson,
good ideas, and then those get funded.
That's pretty new. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did program Bucky Fuller way the hell back in '74. It was wonderful. They got it marked the best interview with Bucky Fuller was mine.
That's great.
And that we were talking about things in a major way, and he was talking about things that I still cotton on to, and his thinking about it. I really think he's a source of great, really inspiration. And his Design Science Decade 1965 to 75 was a major contribution toward understanding the human condition and the state of affairs of science and technology and the productive process in the human condition that it should be repaired to by every thoughtful person.
Well,
it's up on my site if you want to look.
You know what, Harold, just the fact that the broadness of different people that you have interviewed has been a real inspiration to me personally.
I've talked to everybody.
Economics and, environment and,
Well, we could get to economics because economics is so very important. I mean, you're getting down. We're going to show a clip. I don't know when we want to show it. Well, we could maybe just show it. Maybe we could lead up to it now, maybe. Sure. Okay, let's get it. I got to introduce it a little bit, Joanne, please. Josie Ann. So why don't we do that? And just for a little thought, because the major transformation, I had a little thing on television where they were talking about the major Don't play it yet. Are you playing it?
Well.
Okay, we'll play it.
So I love this session because it's truly about the Renaissance, and in fact, my talk today is about the next human Renaissance. And the nice thing about talking about that is we get to go back in history and think about the first Renaissance, which was truly an awakening where art like this came out where it never did before. And in fact, people painted essentially themselves doing the things they wanted to do in the Renaissance, which was truly an awakening of the human spirit and the human mind.
No.
But
just go
other
for
than that
14.
period of time, most of our life is spent working. And we've been working for tens of thousands of years doing different jobs, and we do those different jobs so much that they become us. In fact, when someone asks you, hey, Mary, what do you do? She says, well, I do this. So much so that even Jesus' father is known as Joseph the carpenter. We become known by the things we're doing, even though this is a job, and we're really only doing it to pay the bills for the most part. That's why we're forced to do this kind of work. So somehow we become known by it, but what happens when it goes away? What happens if humans are obsoleted in the next 50 years for the kinds of jobs that we've always done? Where all this new technology that's coming along changes what we would do every day. So first of all, what would we do? Do we sit home and watch TV all day? I hope not. And number two, How do we define ourselves? Because we've been used to defining ourselves since the beginning of time as what we do. And that's a big change. Now, I first started thinking about this way back in '97. I ran a program, a big project for General Magic, about a $100 million program to replace the secretary and create something called the virtual assistant. And here's a little bit of a video from that time.
Must be the chief. I told Serengeti, my virtual assistant, to put his call through.
Good morning, Jack. I've got the chief on the phone, and he says it's urgent. Should I put him through, or do you want me to take a message?
Put him through. Chief, I'm in the middle of a massage, a Helga massage.
You have 3 new voicemails, 1 email, and 2 faxes. Shall I read them now?
Yes, please.
The first message is from your mother, received today
Yikes. Read me my email messages.
You have email from Frank Huffner, instructor, International Spy School.
The idea was truly to replace what we knew as the assistant at that time. And some of that technology has come along, but regardless of what came along and didn't come along, the big learning we took from that is that people began to treat that machine like Mary, which was what we called her. We called her Mary. And so people called her Mary. They talked to Mary. They said all kinds of obscene things to Mary. That's what they did. And this was a very, very interesting experiment. And it took a lot of horsepower at that time. That's me standing in the operations center at that time. There were dozens and dozens of rows and thousands of computers to make that service work way back in '97. Well, we're going to go back further to the first time we really started to replace humans in jobs, to 1961. This is the first industrial robot that was installed at GM at the time, called the Unimation. It did very, very little. It could weld some joints. And it was about $1 million in today's dollars. But everything in the last few years, mostly driven by cell phones, smartphones, has been driving down so fast down this cost curve that it's changing the way we think about robotics. The sensor prices for gyroscopes and MEMS are just completely driving downward towards zero. That's a gyroscope from 1945 and a gyroscope in 2014. Just a little thing for $1. And not only that, the transit price, the cost of driving data, of getting data to us, continues to drive downward. It continues to move downward to the point of zero. That is, getting data and moving data is basically free. And the cost of computing has continued to drive towards zero, from $1 trillion to a trillionth of a penny, or 1 million instructions per second. Now, all of that adds up to the fact that on our desktop today, we can have a computer that is somewhere between the intelligence of a monkey and a human on our desktop for $200 or $300. And that's not all. We've made great strides in showing that the biggest computers in the world can actually be way smarter than humans. It was back in 1997 that the first computer beat the grand chess champion of the world. And it was only 3 years ago that Watson won against the grand champions of Jeopardy. And this was truly a turning point because of the natural language understanding that had to be embedded in that computer system. That's what was hard. And we finally broke that code in 2011. That's already 3 years ago. So the tipping point isn't near, but it's actually here. In the past, when we looked to outsource labor and to drive down the cost of goods, we would go further and further away from the United States. And eventually we went to China, and all of our goods are made in China. Many of our goods are made in China today. However, just in the last 2 or 3 years, the tipping point has occurred in China, where now robotics and automation are cheaper than the average Chinese factory worker wage. Now that's a real issue. That's a real issue because there's no further to go. So what happens is the 400,000 people working on your iPhones today might be 40,000 just a few years from now. And in fact, why even make it over there? You can make it here, because if it's all robotics, the cost is the same. And that's a huge tipping point. We have never seen that point before. By the way, we saw the $1 million robot. Here's the $25,000 robot. It does much more than the $1 million robot did, and with a simple software upgrade, doubled its capacity in 1 year. Can you double your capacity with a software upgrade in a year? I can't. This is faster than any human can do the job, and it pays for itself in 1 year, and after that it's free for the next 20. One human can run dozens of these things. His name is Baxter, by the way. So now we're reaching a tipping point where the technology as a whole, computer, sensors, robotics, and communication, are faster, smarter, more reliable than humans already today. They'll work all the time, far less expensively, and they're factual. They don't lie, and they don't guess. We could break down the end of human work into 3 categories: now, soon, and 50 years from now. Now, soon, and 50 years from now. And I'm going to pose the fact, in my mind, that in fact all of the jobs go away within the next 50 years.
Yeah.
And this is happening already. Over the last 20 years, we've seen routine occupations head downhill as a percentage of our workforce. So more of our workforce is working in more complex opportunities that are using our minds more. Here's an example of restaurant tablets. Many of you have already probably run into this at your favorite restaurant. And what happens is this reduces labor by 40%. You can place your order and you can pay for your order right there. And you don't have to talk to anyone. And it works. It's amazing. Not only that, the customers are happier and the order accuracy is 100%. Now, here's the towel butler that's now at Aloft Hotels. Very, very interesting, because this will deliver warm towels to your room at your beck and call. Can you imagine what happens when you mix the towel butler with what's going on in restaurants, and now it's the food butler? And now the cost of labor goes to 0%, because you don't need a waiter or a waitress. And quite likely, the patrons are even happier. Someone's got to cook, or do they? This is the automatic hamburger machine. It makes burgers for 90% lower cost than the way we make them today, and faster. This is the home kitchen robot. It cooks in the kitchen for you and delivers meals to you. However, it's very expensive. It's only in a lab, but this is what's coming. Over the next 10 to 20 years, we will have a robot in our kitchen. It'll be a few $1,000s. It'll make your meals for you, and it'll also clean while it's not busy making meals. It'll also order the food that morning for delivery fresh. And when you come home at 6, your meal will be there. Yay! And by the way, there won't be a UPS driver or some other driver driving your vehicle to drive your package there, because they're going to be delivered with drones, which eliminates 80 to 90% of package delivery in this country and cuts the labor cost by over 90%. And that's not the only drones. Here's a company that's working on robo-ships, because they figured out that a ship without a captain that might be drinking or might be asleep at the wheel is much safer than one with one.
Airplane.
We have GPS, we have technology, we can get the ship from point A to point B. It's not that hard, folks. So now we're going up the chain and further up the chain, and we say, can doctors be replaced by computers? Well, computers have up to the minute millions of peer-reviewed papers, CDC info, data from other computer-based docs, data from social media, data from blood, everything else at its disposal. Hundreds of millions or billions of papers and data, and your doctor can store maybe a few hundred pages in his or her head. So yes, I hope that this happens, because that's the person I want to go to. And let me take it a step further. Human genome sequencing has also fallen from thousands of dollars to it's going to be $1, okay, in the next few years. And at those rates, we will know more about ourselves and our being and how we were born and how we came to be than we've ever known. And a doctor wouldn't know what most of the time to do with all that data. So we're going to actually create more data about our bodies that need to go to the computers and need to go to systems that can analyze it and help us determine how we can live a better life and how we can cure our sickness. But of course, there's surgeons, and there'll always be surgeons. Well, wait, okay, hang on, maybe not. This is the Da Vinci surgical robot. You may have seen that. This is actually run by doctors today. Doctors put their hands in some gloves and manipulate the robot, and then that's what makes the robot operate on your body. I'm sorry, why do I want doctors' hands operating this very delicate instrument? Why wouldn't I want a computer system that can be programmed with all the knowledge of humanity, that can make split-second decisions, literally nanosecond decisions, on hundreds, thousands, or millions of outcomes and take the right one? And by the way, there are some 400,000 people that die every year in this country because of medical mistakes. That's 10 times the number that die in automobile accidents. We can eliminate that. But let's go further. We've all seen the self-driving car. You've seen this on TV. You might have seen one drive by. They're really amazing. But the impact to society is much greater than you think. Because technically, we just need 92% fewer vehicles. Because your vehicle is parked 92% of the time. And if you can drive the cost of getting from point A to point B down below you owning a vehicle, there's no reason to own a vehicle. One will show up autonomously. There'll be no one there. There'll be no one driving it. There'll be no wheel in the car. You get in and it takes you to point B. And this is what happens to New York City taxi fares per mile once you automate. They go from $3 a mile to about 40 cents a mile. And that reduces traffic accidents everywhere in the world by 95%. And it's so safe that I predict that human driving will be outlawed. Because who would want a human behind the wheel? In fact, there shouldn't be a wheel.
Called a president.
Now, here's an interesting thing. Humanoid robotics companies, the biggest, best, most advanced in the world, almost a dozen have been bought by Google in the last 2 years. What do they know that you don't know? Or rather, what do they know that you didn't know until now? So the question in the future isn't about the perfect job, good salary and benefits and job security and close to home and everything else. That's actually the wrong question. We're going to give our kids, go to school, learn so that you get the perfect job. There won't be a perfect job. It's the wrong question. And I think Bucky Fuller said it best. We should do away with the absolute specious notion that everybody has to earn a living. We keep inventing jobs because of the false idea that everybody has to be employed as some kind of drudgery. You ever feel that way? And the true business of people should be to go back to school and think about whatever it was they were thinking about before somebody came along and told them that they had to earn a living. So that brings us really sort of full circle and suggests to, I think, all of us that, in fact, jobs aren't good. They were a necessary evil, and in fact, they were a form of human bondage. We were enslaved and have been enslaved and continue to be enslaved by the fact we have to get up, we have to go to work, we have to produce something, and then we have to come home. And we're only producing something so that we can put food on our table. Get that. But if that goes away, what if this is the most incredible human opportunity that we've ever seen? That we finally get to ponder, why are we here? I don't mean why are you here listening to me. I mean, why are we here? Because we weren't here to make widgets, to go to some whatever job it is. We're much more capable than that. And that brings us to my final point, which is this is an opportunity that we have, that we've been granted, if we choose to take it, for the next Renaissance. Just as in the first Renaissance, it was an amazing awakening of the human spirit, where people looked to the heavens and pondered what it meant. People looked to the heavens and pondered what it would be and how one would travel to the stars and beyond. People opened up their hearts. They opened up their minds. They created art, dance, music, and theater. This is our possibly one chance that we will be free to do exactly the same thing. I, for one, can't wait, and I hope to see you all there. Thank you so much.
All right, now that's a tape that I find interesting and everything.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's a couple years old now. So there would be a whole lot of things that have been going on in that 48-month period or 28 or whatever it is. The pace of the development is going exponential of robotics. Given me a lot of thought and so forth, particularly that thing about drones. The drones that they use now to bomb each other and all those kind of things could be used for, I had an idea, I'll share it with you. What do you think?
Go ahead.
You know? I'm not exactly a great entrepreneur or thinker of everything like that. I'm more off on all kinds of philosophical thought and all that kind of stuff, sitting around taking new ideas and all that. So I'm not very practical at all. But I have had some thought off this fellow. It presented that. And you got, like you say, Manhattan, okay? Now, if you're going to have, they've already got Amazon. So you don't have to go shopping anymore. You just order the product and it comes to your door by UPS, okay? It'll come right to your door. You don't even have to go shop. I got a person who does their shopping, their grocery shopping. They just call, order it, and it all comes delivered and everything. But now the question: if they're going to be delivering things by drones to individuals, and they got a very strong individualistic orientation toward what's good for you to think, or you think of yourself in those terms, of market terms and everything. But if they're going to do it on an individual basis, and you look out at the landscape of, let's just say, Manhattan, and you look at Manhattan, okay? And if you're talking about individual delivery by drone, how are you going to get the drone to apartment 14C in a building where there's 10,000 apartments when there's nothing there but a window and a wall? So, you're too young. Everybody around here is too young to remember something that I can remember, being an old timer, as they say, who can remember a thing called, I wonder if any of you in the audience, some of you older people, maybe put on your thinking cap and your memory cap or something, and remember back to the good old days when they used to have a milkman. Do you remember a milkman? And they used to have a milkman, and at the houses around where they would go, we had one that had a horse drawn there. And they pulled it with a horse.
Sure.
And everything, milk, it was great. We liked the quart of milk and butter and stuff. And they had a thing called a milk chute. Do anybody remember a milk chute? That's a thing in the houses. Like, we were middle class. You had a thing. You had a door, front door. Now the housewife's sleeping or something, but the milkman's coming 4 in the morning with milk and eggs and that. And those are things you get every day. And they had a milk chute, and it was a little hole. It was a little thing in the wall next to the door, and it had an opening from the outside, and you go in, and the milkman would put the milk inside that, and then they would close it, and then it could be opened on the inside for the housewife or whoever to take the milk. It's called a chute, milk chute.
Okay.
Now, I think we've got a huge entrepreneurial capability for a whole lot of smart people who would think about taking advantage of this situation, because there's a lot of retrofitting of our apartments and our buildings that do not have milk chutes. They do not have a chute that would allow drone delivery to the door. I think are you ready to invest all of your life savings in the first company that's going to get a market on building, retrofitting all the buildings of Manhattan and all such apartment buildings across the world for a milk chute to let the drones deliver and so forth? But I just brought that up as a thing to improve the human condition. What do you think, Mary? Are you up for I tell you, sign here and just put up a little money and let's make a fortune.
Just
okay?
when you said drones delivering to Manhattan, I'm like,
No, the milk chute.
Well,
don't you understand that? Don't you understand the breed?
How
just take
would
a
that
look
happen?
at the.
We haven't even done energy efficiency on all of our apartments.
Yeah, but you got to get the milk to the kiddies. The kiddies have to get their milk, for crying out loud, and the robots aren't going to stand by and let that market go by. They're going to come up with something. Well, jump on the bandwagon, girl. Can't you think outside the box?
That was a
milk
fascinating
chutes for
program.
Manhattan. Okay, or in general. This is an important. People are being obsoleted as workers.
That is
Do
coming.
you realize what the implication of that is?
And one of the things
They've been serfs since Caesar, and they still are. A few people own everything, and everybody else are like serfs on a feudal estate, stepping to what they do. And they got, like that. It's still like that. And they still got this idea about how wonderful it is to work at a job.
Well,
and it has been. People have had to do that, but now that's becoming not enough. You got to have it all. And one last final question for the political class, or people who think, how in the hell, if people aren't got a job, the only way for 90% of the people to get any money, you have to have what they call money in the way the system is now, or credit or something, money to buy the things that can be produced by all these robots, all the good stuff. How are they going to get money into people's hands to clear the market of what can be done? And they're going to have to get money into their hands somehow so they can clear the market as consumers of the things that can be good things that come, all that milk that come in through the milk chute. How is it going to be structured? How are we going to do it? That's a question that has to be addressed, and it's never addressed because they just assume jobs. We're going to create jobs for all these serfs, all these peasants
Okay.
that have always been serfs. They still are, as far as the political leadership class of either Republicans or Democrats, but all the leaders, they just see them as a
Or the
bunch
Green
of peasants.
Party.
Or the
Let's-
Green Party, or
let's
anyway.
broaden it out a little bit.
It's just projecting the past into the future as permanent, and it's all being undercut by our success. So we have to be starting thinking outside the box. That's all.
Well, there's two things that come to mind.
Retrofit milk chutes to Manhattan. And I tell you, it's a winner.
We have an aging population.
Yeah,
though.
well,
what about
that's
that?
I'm part of that, so I don't know that.
No, but maybe
it's
milk
an
isn't
interesting,
so important for
yeah,
us.
Well, milk, yeah, I couldn't
For-
get.
for
I got
baby
another.
calves.
I got another great idea. You know what's going to really make it? You know what everybody should do? All these entrepreneurs, these right wingers or whatever. You
What
know,
should they do?
They should do. You know what's going to be in the stores? You'll go in the stores. They got a little bottle of something like this for $1,000. You can get a little piece of something or other, and it's all market.
Is it a
tested.
rejuvenating cream?
No. What they're going to get is this is my idea. They're going to get, somebody's going to tap the market for chocolate milk. Chocolate milk in a quart size next to all those bottles that cost $200 to buy a little quart of some sort of sugar water. Chocolate milk, it's a winner. Chocolate milk, everybody likes
All
chocolate
right.
milk.
We'll take note of that.
You heard it here first.
Okay.
I want a cut as the guy with the idea. Chocolate milk on next to all those little bottles like that of some sugar
How is it
water.
that we are paying for water? I mean, that to me is like the next thing. They're adding vitamins.
Well, anyway, what do you think about the tape?
I thought it was fascinating,
Mm-hmm.
and you're right. Just with robotics, there will be fewer jobs. So what are
I think it's
some
better
of the
to think
solutions?
eliminate jobs. Eliminate jobs.
Okay.
So then you're talking about how are you going to get buying power
Have you
into
heard
the
of
hands
the
of the
Earth's
people?
Resource Bank? That would be
No.
to give a percentage of all the natural resources that every human has their own share of that's guaranteed.
How is that to be done then? I mean,
Well,
you know.
that's just one theory
No,
that
it's
people were
an
looking
interesting
at.
idea. I personally like the idea of well, I like Bucky Fuller, who's talking about, but then I also like this guy. Who's the guy I like? You know the guy. Oh dear. Well, I liked Muammar Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi was way ahead of history's curve, but it's
Harold, the other thing that they're talking about is called a guaranteed income.
well, they've been talking about that for a long
Okay, but
time.
might that be the answer so that everybody would have a certain amount of money to live on
No. It's
without
not,
having a job?
Well, it's more to the point of how are they going to get how are they going to get buying power into the hands of the people? It's going to be an essential. They're going to have to get buying power into the hands of the masses to clear the market. If they don't have buying power in the hands of the masses
Thank you.
through a job,
Because robots
how are
will
you going to
not
get
be
money?
purchasing these products
That's
that are
right.
being.
No, they're
that's
just
the-
going to be
that's the
servants.
other-
They're going to be
That's the other
servants.
half
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
equation.
I'm really at. You had Henry George, and then you had who's the guy I like? Isn't that ridiculous? Josie, and who's the one I like? The economics guy.
Kelso.
Kelso, Lewis Kelso was
Thank
the
you.
one, and he wrote for the right wing. Okay, talk about right wing rather than just left wing. To have good people take over and let them say prayers or something or whatever the left wing people think all and everything. Let's say and be nice and all that. Yeah, he wrote a book called The Capitalist Manifesto. Somebody ought to read that because he's saying you've got to form capital in a way where you not only have the ability to have a system against loss that's built into the market, and then you're going to have a reinsuring against loss that would have to be part of the federal government next to the Federal Reserve Board to make it to reinsure against loss on business investments that would make it possible for the mass to be able to have an investment that will pay for itself out of the future earnings. That's what has to happen. They're able to make an investment. You're going to make an investment in year 1 that's going to pay for itself by year 5 and throw off profit after that. They can tap into the productive capability of the future, and that's limited only to people with enough savings to be able to do that. They haven't got it. So you're going to have to make it possible for them, the citizens, to be brought into the logic of business finance. You can make an investment that's going to pay for itself with proper reinsurance, insurance, and reinsurance built into the federal system or one across the country to make it safe for the people to have an investment out of the future earnings of the overall productive capability. So that everybody has a way of getting income built in terms of market principles not being good or something.
Can I just ask you a question? What is, okay, this economics, I don't think that we were really taught how economics actually works. And I'm wondering, what is a Bitcoin? What is that? This next
Bitcoin's
phase
something I don't understand very well.
Yeah,
It's
we're
a
not
new,
going to need money. It's a different electronic.
it's another. Well, they got that, and now they got this other thing coming up, Bitcoin and group match or something. They got something else as part of the Bitcoin
But
thing.
even this, our economic system with the Federal Reserve generating the money that we pay interest on,
Well, they
you know, I mean, is
well,
that really a good system?
Well, I think the system in place isn't that bad. We've made a lot of progress,
I
but
think we're
I
in
don't.
deep trouble.
Well, it's just that everybody's used to there being Caesar or there's being the people in the castle on the hill, and we'll be loyal subjects and we'll do what we're told.
And wasn't there
we'll
a dark age that followed that? I mean, don't civilizations collapse when they become too complex and that they no longer are able to work out solutions?
Well, we're going to collapse if we don't work out a situation to this, because we're heading for a disastrous confrontation with the future. And the future could be overwhelming. We got a capability. We got weapon systems that can destroy the whole species. We finally got there. We were so limited in the past. We could only kill 10% or 20. Now we can kill everybody. Isn't that an exciting thing we get to?
No,
and on the other
peace
side,
in our time.
Yeah. No, not peace. You know, we've got that. That's the capability. It's
I
scientific.
think John Lennon said it.
Yeah,
Imagine.
yeah. Imagine.
Can we just use
Yeah, but he's just saying be good. That's
No,
not good enough. You
he's
got to have a
saying you don't
plan by
need-
which you can become
You don't
the
need
people.
possessions, no need for greed or hunger, a brotherhood of man.
Well, if everybody has that, you know, that's right.
Yeah.
People have.
Imagine all the people
Right, and then
sharing
the
all
hot
world.
shots that are doing that need to have the people with buying power. People that can't clear the market of what can be produced is the problem. They don't have enough people with buying power, and they have to make it so that people can have the buying power to allow the thing to go into a and you're going to get a thing where everybody's going to be able to live the life that they want to do without anybody telling them what to do.
So we're seeing.
So I want to go down and have a nice
reduction of
chat.
poverty and people.
Absolutely elimination of poverty. It will go away.
Healthcare as a
Healthcare
guaranteed
for everybody,
human right.
education for whatever they want.
Education, free
everything,
education,
That's right.
love
Food,
that.
everything for everybody. We're coming to the end of a scarcity. We're
Right.
coming to the end. There's more than enough for all. Never has been. That's something new. It'd be nice to mention it once in a while. Nobody mentions it. It is true. That's part of the ontologic reality. You got to have a system by which you can have a thing that's going to allow it to benefit everybody rather than just a few pirates.
And look
They've
at
always
how
been
fast.
pirates.
Look how fast all these things
It's going
are happening.
exponential.
So get ready.
Exponential is exponential.
Be prepared for anything.
No, but that little clip showed that
was
clip's a couple of years
fascinating.
old. That's a couple of years old.
Yeah. Well,
I want to get in touch with that guy. I want to do some programming to Manhattan Network. Some of the people who are thinking that way, not about the publicans or the Republicans or the this or the that or the bad guys.
the
and all
red,
that
the
kind of
blue,
stuff.
the purple.
All of that, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
you know, we
There's not
should be
anybody.
more
You know
cooperation.
who's falling down on the job is the intellectual community. They're all caught up on this president or that president or this guy, this bill or this bill and that bill, and they're fighting back and forth. And the traditional politics is a thing of the past. And they got to have some vision about where and how we're going to maybe be able to make the transit. We could either eliminate or liberate the entire Homo sapiens species within an ecological context. For the first time in 200,000 years of our existence, and we were privileged or damned to be born into that transitional moment, like coming to the end of the birth canal or something.
It's the most exciting time to be alive.
Are you ready to sign here on the bottom line? Bring the contract, Josie, and bring the the contract, the one that
Sign
sells
on the
it, it's
dotted
got
line.
yeah, right, all that. No, but I think that's something that we ought to be. And you know where that could be brought up in intellectual terms is in public access.
Okay.
Public access, you're doing it here. You're not doing it. You're doing it with volunteers. You're doing it with people. They're not. A lot of people have been. That old devil song that we sang is I'll make a buck Everybody's worried about how can I make some money, right? You hear everybody saying that, even the most idealistic people, they can't think in terms other than how can I make some money?
Well, I think we need a new dialogue.
I think we do
a new
too.
concept of what it really means to be here and
Right. Well, I think we're
Where we're
on the
heading.
verge. I think we're on the. What a time to have been born, and then the youth coming along. What a wondrous time! It's like a pregnancy is 9 months. Maybe women might be more aware of this and everything, but it's 9 months, and when the time comes, the baby is born. The time has come for the human society to be liberated to something on a
There we go.
species term, and we're going to get a liberated humanity. Where everybody's being able to be over
And
their
their full
own inner
potential.
given, their full potential. We
Thank
want
you.
the full potential.
Yes, absolutely.
And that'll happen when you get down to the jazz stuff. Or you ever go to guys jamming?
Sure.
Jazz jamming?
Sure.
And you get the guys jamming, and they're jamming like this, and they're going like this. And it's, boy, that's great. Everybody's jamming, okay? It's really working, you know. Do you know what I'm saying?
I
Love,
do.
all the really
Yeah.
important things is really working. And then they're going like dot 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 trumpet. No, wait, we're not ready for a tuba yet. We're not ready for the tuba. You could bring that in
Bring
later.
in the
You bring it in
clarinets.
right on the moment, right? Like I'm going to do it like this. Bring in the tuba. No, the tuba.
bump,
Boop,
bump,
boop.
bump, bump.
So you go like, and it goes boop. He gets like that, and then the others come up to that, and then you go,
Yep.
and then you get into what they call it's a happening. Do you understand? Like a
And-
jam session,
and it's
a real
flowing,
fulfilling
and you
jam
can feel
session
it.
of art, and you can feel it. That's what has to happen with humanity writ large,
Yeah.
and we're being tested. If we get to that, we will come into a synergistic resonancy with the universe at a level transcendent to what we've been throughout 200,000 years, and maybe touch the face of God, or touch the face of what has been called God, or at the level of a new way of being. We're born into a situation we're about to become liberated from a context, or born into a new relationship in the universe, and we're privileged to be brought up on that.
Well, it's certainly the most exciting time to be here, and I personally believe we all chose to be here now.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely.
You think we have some choice?
Yes, and I don't know if it was a soul contract that we made, but we all have a role to play, and I think the best thing is to find your own voice and have courage. If you see something that you want to speak out against, have the courage to follow through with that and change things for the better. And hopefully with more people who, watch some shows like what you're producing, that we'll have an opportunity for that to happen.
Have we got the contract about the milk shoots for? I want the market. Just Manhattan. Just
How about
Manhattan.
coconut milk?
Just
Can we
Manhattan.
go- can we go with something else
There's
here?
a big job of retrofitting has to be done to accommodate the drone delivery. How are they going to get the drone deliveries into
Not
each
sure
individual?
about that.
How are they going to get it into it without a chute? A milk chute for the old people who remember milk chutes. You see. So
Well,
there's
you were
some-
right. There was the milkman with this horse, but there was the bone man and the rag man. I mean,
that's true.
And things were all
But
recycled.
you got to have a way to
People
get it
saved
through.
things.
You got to get it through to the individual, each one. Retrofitting. Just think of the contract. Retrofit Manhattan with a milk chute.
And
a drone
energy-efficient
chute.
windows and doors.
Okay, anyway, you heard it here first, folks, and everything. But Mary, it's so good to talk to you.
Well,
So
thank
good
you
to
again
see you.
for
And
the
the memory of
opportunity.
John McConnell. He was just a giant, and particularly that giant of giants, Mr. Buckminster Fuller. I tell you, he's the best thing that's ever come down the pike in my
One
humble.
planet, one people, please.
All right.
Let's do it.
And let's give some support to that United Nations as well. You for that?
I am.
Okay. Support your local, not necessarily your local politician, but your local UN representative.
And youth
please.
are really involved. That's
and
the good thing
by
about
all
the
means,
UN.
youth, get going. Yeah.
And
okay.
social media. Learn how to use Twitter
Yeah.
and Facebook. And
They don't have to know how. We have to learn that. Thanks for viewing. We'll come back tomorrow. Thank you very much.
all right, well, thank you.
So that's 58 minutes. We're out. Okay. So this one will air the
Later.
day after this, the
Okay.
other one, and
Well,
then
this was fun. That was so fascinating, that show, and you could just see. I mean,
milk chutes. We're going to need milk chutes. No, seriously.
Okay,
How are
I'll
they
go
going
with
to
the
get off?
chocolate
How are
milk.
they going to chocolate milk? That's a big. If
that was
they,
a big deal
little
for us,
quart.
and chocolate milk
Do you
on
realize how good
Friday.
chocolate milk?